So this particular tent, when I bought it, like I said, it was $8. It didn't have a rain fly, and so I bought a rain fly for it, and I bought some weather sealing for it from REI for like $10 just to make sure that it was waterproof. I don't know who had used it before, but it was in very, very good condition. Yeah, so I never use stuff sacks with my tents. The reason being is that it just adds a little bit of extra weight. Again, not being a super stickler about it, but when you can shave, a couple grams, couple ounces here and there, it does all add up. And this particular one, I found a footprint for it. Some people, again, don't like to use footprints. Some people like to use a footprint that is made out of painter's plastic, which is generally a lot lighter. But in my case, I went online, and at the REI outlet, they had, this is actually, so my tent is a Lynx, but a Lynx 1 person. This is actually a Zephyr 1 person. It was on like super sale for like $10. So I decided to buy it. Especially with tarps, you just want to look at, or footprints, you just want to look at the dimensions. Everybody's got their own specific footprint that's made for their own specific tent. I don't necessarily believe in that. As long as my tarp is not covered way too large, because then you're trapping water and it's bringing it underneath the tent. So you actually want a footprint that's slightly smaller than your tent itself. But as long as it sort of fits the dimensions, then you're good to go. So my Thermarest. Again, this is, if you're going to buy an expensive piece or expensive equipment, you might be one or two things that you got to invest in. This is my Thermarest, as you can see with the X on it. We got this from the REI garage sale. So if you do have to go out and you got to buy a nice, relatively expensive piece, I would suggest trying to look into the REI garage sale. For $20 you become a member, and you can go in and everything there is like half price. Be very careful when you're buying Thermarests or blow up mattresses or things of that nature, because they can be returned, they could be punctured, something like that. So be prepared when you go in there to blow that damn thing up, to sit on it, to make sure that you're looking for holes. But if you get a really good deal on stuff, I have seen them again at thrift stores. They sell patch kits for these that are really, really cheap. So you could get a really nice, this could be $120 item that somebody, has a small puncture hole and they decide, what the hell, I'm not going to use it anymore. You buy that patch kit, you get it for $5, $6, $7. It's relatively simple, just cut out the patch, glue it on there, boom. YouTube will walk you through exactly what you need to do. So again, secondhand is always great. But I love this Neo Air because of the fact that it's so tiny and so lightweight. This thing is like absolutely ridiculous. Very, very comfortable. Some people do complain about it because it does crinkle a little bit at nighttime, but got your earbuds in, your earplugs in, you don't even hear it. So people ask me a lot like what I do when I'm camping, especially when I'm solo camping, especially if I can't have a fire like I did this past week or this past trip. So book, writing, and then I am partial to harmonica. Again, some weight. I just bought this one 6 months ago, so it's relatively new, but eventually as this thing gets a little bit more beat up, I'll probably ditch the plastic because it's such a small piece of equipment, but something to do to keep yourself occupied. In the middle of the night, you wake up, you're a little bit scared, you heard something, whatever, boom, it brings you back to reality, to civilization. It gives you a sense of like feeling of home. Bars, so I've got one left. So this particular camping trip, I decided to do a no-cook camping trip because, there's some people decide to go no-cook throughout the entirety of their camping experience. Usually if it's a 3 or 4 day trip for me, I'm not a guy that's like super big on, I need really hot food. I need the comforts of like a cutting board and, making something really, really neat over the fire. I'm kind of a skinny guy, and I think it cuts a lot of weight and a lot of trouble and a lot of like BS, honestly, if you can go no cook. This particular trip, I just had rice in a bag. Put rice in a bag, put cayenne, I put garlic, salt, I put salt, pepper, etc. I kept it dry, of course. And then when I get a little bit closer down to the end of the trailhead, if I want to eat at 6 o'clock, it takes about 3 hours or so to cold cook rice. I'll just get my Sawyer straw. I'll squeeze my water into it. When I get towards the top of the trail, throw it in my backpack, and then 3 hours later, I'm ready to go. A lot of the things that you cook over a campfire that are dehydrated, as much as they may not taste as good when they're cold, they're really easy to cold cook. Oatmeal, believe it or not, right in the package. Open that package up, toss some water in there. wait about a minute, 2 minutes, a little bit of stirring in there. It will cold cook. Rice will cold cook. And so that saves you the weight of having whatever type of stove that you're using. Saves the weight of needing to bring out extra lighters, bring out your pot, bring out sort of all these things. So a lot of times if I just want to do something quick and simple, I'll do it that way. When I was eating meat, I don't eat meat anymore, but beef jerky, really easy. Go to Costco, go to Sam's Club, whatever, get a big old, big thing of it. It's filling, it's protein. Now that I'm a vegetarian, it's a little bit harder, but there's still plenty of products out there that, make it really easy. Case in point here, my Lara bars, my Cliff bars, all these sorts of things. What you're looking for is calorie density. So, if you're hiking a 10 or 12 or 15 mile day, you need to know what you're burning in calories. I've got a watch right here that tells me a calorimeter on it. So I can kind of monitor, hey, I've got a finite number of calories for the time that I'm going to be out here. Today was a short day. Tomorrow may be a longer day. So maybe today I'll eat a little bit less. I'll save it for tomorrow. As you can see, the woohoos. Every time I go to a grocery store, whether it's Safeway, whether it's King Soopers, whether it's wherever else that you shop, Sprouts, what have you, at the back of the store, there's always a half off section or a section where they're trying to get rid of some stuff. Every time I go to a grocery store, I always look in the back there to look for the half price bars. The reason being is the expiration date or a lot of times it's just a box is crushed and they're trying to get rid of it. And so something that could be $5 or $6 for a box is like $2 for a box. So every time I go, I'll just look by there, and sometimes there'll be a whole pallet. And if there's a whole bunch, I'll stock up. I'll grab, 20 boxes all at once because it's at a really good price. And then I throw it in my cabinet, and when I want to go, I just grab, I don't know, this time around I brought like 6 of these. Just had something quick, easy, simple. They're about 250 calories depending on which flavor it is. 220 calories on this one. So really calorie dense, really lightweight. And peanut butter is always something that I bring with me. And most importantly is flat tortillas. Because I'm gluten-free, corn tortillas are what I use. But when I wasn't eating gluten-free, I was using flour tortillas, which are a lot easier, but excellent to bring out on trail. It's like having bread. It's like having a sandwich, but you can't flatten it. My sleeping bag. This particular sleeping bag is as a 24-degree bag. And as a comfort level, and then as a limit. Oh, it's a Sierra. It's a Sierra Designs bag. And then 17 as the absolute limit. That's in my opinion, that's like kind of if you're gonna get one multi-versatile bag, I've got one that's like a negative 10-degree bag or 0-degree bag, and I've got one that's very, very thin, like a helio sack that basically is just like a blanket that I'll sometimes bring out when I'm for summer camping and I know that it's not gonna be cold at all. That's fine. But if you want something that's very versatile, I would highly recommend a 24-degree bag. If you are going to get cold at night, I can throw on a jacket. I've got my long johns with me. You can throw socks on. I mean, you can take that bag from a 24-degree bag down to a 10-degree bag. And if I've got my dog with me, it takes it down to a 6-degree bag if he's like in the sleeping bag with me. So you can get really creative with it. You don't need to be butt naked in your sleeping bag, only relying on it for protection. This particular style is a quilt style, so there's no zippers on it. It's just got like a mummy bag top of it, and then halfway down it opens up, and then once you get inside of it, you put the quilt on over it. It's all in one piece. I actually really like this style. I know it kind of was in vogue for a little bit, and then sort of is now isn't super high, and now the top quilts and the bottom quilts are the big thing. But I would suggest it. I mean, the no zippers, nothing to snag. It reduces on weight a little bit, and you can pack the crap out of it. This thing goes really, really small because you're not dealing with those seams that you'd find in other sleeping bags. So definitely a recommendation. I don't bring a multi-tool. I think that a knife does everything that I need it to do. As I said before, I packed my CamelBak. I found this actually. I was at a place that I was working. Somebody was getting rid of a bunch of junk, and I just happened to find it in like a bag of free items, which was, again, insanely lucky. So again, and a 24 bag for me works perfectly fine as far as my size is concerned. I mean, I think a little bit bigger might be nicer. Maybe a 30. I don't know, maybe a 32, something like that, if you're going to be going for a long time. But I like to pack small. So lastly, long johns, always really, really important. I always wear the underwear that I'm hiking in all day. I've got a pair of Ex Officio underwear that's quick dry, that's wick, that doesn't smell, any of those things. And then once I get back to my camp, I put these bad boys on. So this is just for sleeping. This is just for being around the campfire. This is just for having something nice and clean to go back to. Same thing with socks. I've got my one pair of socks. It's my hiking socks. Then I've got one pair of socks that's sort of my tooling around camp socks. So you don't necessarily need a lot to feel comfortable. But when you put on a fresh pair of socks, if they got wet or if they're sweaty or something like that, there's nothing like it. I have bag waterproofing. Just have a black contractor bag, really lightweight, super cheap. Throw everything in it if you really need to. Like I said before, I don't need everything to be insanely waterproofed as I'm walking in this particular case, because if it's that bad, I'll just step off the side of the trail and like wait it out for an hour or two. Or if I've got to find a little cove somewhere and set up my tent and wait it out, I'd rather do that than carry some heavy, bulky rain gear. And especially knowing my area, knowing what the weather is going to be like, I always do some research before I go out. What's this week going to look like? Definitely is going to save you a lot as far as what you pack. Last thing is my hiking pole. As you can see, this particular one I got from an REI garage sale. It was very inexpensive. I love this thing. I've had this for almost 5 years. The reason why I bought it was that was winter. That was the one that was cheap. It was like 10 or 12 bucks for the set. It did have the baskets on the bottom. I just pulled the baskets off. I made slight modifications to it. This had like a back strap on it that you could use for your hands. I never used it. It just kind of got in the way. It would hit me. It would like rub against my fingers or whatever. So I just pulled it right out, popped it out, but also saved a little bit of weight. So I pulled off the basket, pulled off the top here. And then I always carry duct tape with me, and needle and thread. So I've got a little bit of needle and thread in the top of my bag, as well as duct tape wrapped around here. Put it at the top of the pole. Reason being is that it's not going to get dirty because you're going to be holding on to it the whole time. And I have used duct tape so many times on the trail for tent, for an ember burn on your jacket, for a small cut that you want to just like do a quick little bandage on. I honestly prefer that duct tape over a Band-Aid in that particular case. So Dino happens to carry his own food. He carries his own water. I just have like an empty pouch essentially that he goes and drinks out of streams, and then I know when I'm getting close to a place that I might want to camp, the next stream I come to, I'll fill it up. That way he's not carrying all that water around all the time. As far as warmth for my dog, he does have a little sweater that he carries for himself. And of course, some poo bags and like a very light leash. Actually, I use his leash and his backpack that he carries. Put all my food in that, and that becomes my bear bag. And I use the leash to toss the bear bag. So everything serves a dual. I think that this is a great introductory video for somebody who's just looking for, hey, I want to get out through 3 or 4 days. My pack weighed, when I was fully all the water, all the food, you're looking at about maybe 21 pounds, something like that. So again, not ultra lightweight, but pretty damn good. I think that for the luxury that's on here, that and for how inexpensive everything was, that's a really good place to start. So see y'all later.